What's up, family? It's Kyle King here. We are back on another video. In this video, we're going to be talking about podcasting, okay? So some of you have podcasts, but some of you are asking questions about inserting your specific brand, your specific logo, your specific messaging inside the podcast, whether it's in the intro, whether it's in the outro, whether it's through the specific podcast episode. Like, how do I insert what I do in every episode? Is that tacky? Is it not tacky? It's not tacky at all. One, it's your podcast, so you can kind of do whatever it is that you want to do. Two, you want to be able to communicate your brand. You want to be able to use this podcast, use this show as an opportunity to grow your influence, generate leads, and being able to attract more clientele as well. So to answer the question if it's tacky, no, not at all. Now, I build out a structure for each and every single podcast episode. The intro is clean every time. Welcome to the Around the Way podcast, where we help you get around your obstacles and find a way to redesign your life every single time. If you look at the Social Proof podcast, welcome to the Social Proof podcast, where we take people that have accomplished something and so that they can be able to show their social proof or something like that David says. So when you look at every podcast, they kind of open up the same way every single time. That helps you establish who you are, what this podcast is about, and if it's a new listener, hey, I can dig this. The second thing is before the podcast, like a pre-intro, you can have, hey, are you somebody that does this? Or hey, are you somebody that struggles with writing your book? Well, today we're having our guest, XYZ, is being able to help us do this, and then you go into your episode, right? So now you're setting the tone and you're laying the foundation for an audience, a listener, to be able to I'm really interested in this topic, or I'm really interested in this podcast. I need to subscribe. Another thing through the podcast, you need to tell people to like, you need to tell people to subscribe, and you want to give them a call to action, whether it's go to your Instagram, go to YouTube, like, subscribe, share, review, something, okay? You want to be able to communicate. Now, when we think about through the podcast, like in the middle of the podcast, because we have our intro and I have a similar outro at the end, and the outro for me is rephrasing a question or kind of recapping the whole episode and then closing it out. Or you could do something like this. You could ask every single guest at the end a specific question, and every guest has to answer, and then that's how you can close out. So kind of find your flow and what works best for you, so the intro and the outro are clean and concise, okay? Now, when we think about the middle, you have a question flow. You have a flow of conversation. You don't want to be like question after question after question. You want to be able to have some type of relationship that's being established or nurtured throughout the conversation. So what I've learned in my podcast journey is the first 10 minutes of the conversation, you kind of warm a person up. The first 10 minutes in an interview, you want to warm a person up. You want to get to know them, get them talking about things they want to talk about. What are their passions? What brings them joy? Talk about their family, talk about their kids, talk about their life, talk about their goals, talk about their desires. And then we transition from the things that they want to talk about to the things that you want to talk about, because now their guard is down, okay? So when you're thinking about what do you want to be curated through the middle of your episode, what experience do you want to create? What do you want your audience member to feel, or your guest to feel as well, your listener to feel? What do you want them to take away at the end of the podcast? What do you want them to be saying about that podcast? Oh, this is amazing. Oh my God, I feel open. Wow, I feel excited. Wow, I feel motivated. So when you're thinking about all these different things, from the intro to the middle to the content to the outro to the overall experience that you set, and all of the things and activities that you do, the questions that you ask, it's all about your vision, your brand, and what you want to be able to create in regards to the experience as you're packaging this up for this person, okay? So as you're thinking about your podcast, it's your show, but also align it with your brand. And if you could get other businesses, smaller companies or bigger companies, to add ad placements on your specific podcast, that will be a great way to monetize your overall voice and your story. So hopefully this helps. Hopefully this answers your question, and we'll see you guys next video.